Joe, I got one question for you on this fine Monday morning, this movie Monday morning.
Yeah.
What the hell is The Life of Chuck? What is this movie?
Life of Chuck is a movie they showed at TIFF what feels like years ago.
Right, and got a little buzz out of the festival
Everybody
circuit.
walked out of the theater patting each other on the back. It's from Mike Flanagan, the television director who did
Haunting of
Gerald's
Hill
Game,
House,
The Haunting of Hill House,
Midnight Mass, Fall of the House of Usher,
Netflix guy, and Stephen King, the famous author and Twitter user. Stephen King, and they have this new movie called Life of Chuck. Tom Hiddleston plays Chuck, and apparently it's very heartwarming. It says from Stephen King, the guy that brought you The Shawshank Redemption, Stand By Me. So this ain't your The Stand King.
This ain't Carrie King.
This ain't Salem's Lot King.
No.
This is Sweet King.
Yeah, this ain't Maximum Overdrive King.
This is King on writing.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, this is nice King.
So there's a trailer that we've been seeing for a while now where, like Joe said, it says like from Stephen King, the author of, and they give a very selective bibliography meant to, like Joe's saying, cue you into this is Sweet King, Soft King, Sentimental
King. Nice King, Shawshank Redemption.
And then there's another title card that comes up in this trailer that I'm glad I hadn't taken a sip of soda because I would have gone psh, and spit it out.
Done a spit take.
Carson, can we see this? It's actually the second Life of Chuck image I sent you. Here it is. So this comes up. This comes up after and it's just from Stephen King. He doesn't even get like from the mind of.
No, from Stephen King, the guy that brought you all these sweet tales.
And then in addition to Stephen King, it's also from, if I'm applying the sentence structure correctly, it's also from the heart and soul of Mike Flanagan. Now, we've seen a lot of these type of title cards in the last couple years. Of course, there was, from the imagination of John Krasinski for If. We've seen a lot of just wildly offensive director shout-outs in the trailers. But this one is simultaneously the most ambitious and the most nauseating I think I've ever seen. Mind and Soul or Heart and Soul?
Mind and Soul.
Mind and Soul, yes. From the Mind and Soul.
Right? It's kind of weird. Like, I just saw it on the screen and I feel like I'm wrong.
I know.
I keep
wanting to say heart and soul, which is a phrase, but
from the mind
he wants
and
you to know
soul
that he's
of
also
Mike Flanagan.
He's thinking.
He's thinking. Heart and soul, like Mike Flanagan, popular director, enjoyed. People like his work, Dr. Sleep, his Stephen King work. I don't know if I associate immediately heart and soul with Flanagan, but it's neither here nor there.
I also don't think he's at a point. We need to stop doing this too early in directors' careers where we attribute this sort of cinematic legacy to them. Like the Krasinski one was obviously laughable, but this one too, it's like Flanagan's doesn't have that much sort of cultural clout that he gets the special director call out.
What do you think though, in our sort of niche media world, Flanagan isn't a nobody. He does have massively popular shows on Netflix.
Put his name on it.
But you're saying maybe not a full heart and soul, which I'd agree.
From Stephen King and Mike Flanagan.
Right, for Mike Flanagan.
The mind and soul of Mike Flanagan is attributing too much sort of cultural impact or legacy to a guy who has not earned it.
Okay, you're worried about sort of the names and adjectives everybody's giving themselves. I'm kind of worried that I have to see this movie next week.
We have to watch this movie.
The worst thing is at the end of the trailer, like a threat, it says June. And I was like, oh, fuck, it's June right now. That means I have to see this piece of shit.
Like the specter of death on the hillside.
And by the way, apparently it's not a piece of shit. Apparently people like this movie.
People like it. Neon's distributing.
It's so, the ad is so saccharine.
Let's talk
you're
about
basically crying at the end of the trailer. It's so emotionally raw, and Tom Hiddleston is such a B- sort of lead. This movie looks like my nightmare. It looks like my nightmare. It's like Benjamin Button, but nice.
Yeah, Carson,
it's
can we see that other
imagine.
Chuck picture? This will give you an idea of the vibe of Life of Chuck. If you have no idea what we're talking about,
I have no interest in this.
Here it is. So this is Tom Hiddleston doing a little ooh, just gliding over the solar system and the outer realms of the galaxy. Ooh, and apparently it's just it's one of these movies. You know what it is? It's like a genre that I thought was dead and buried for good reason. It's like how have you seen lately online about how they say stomp clap music is coming back via Benson Boone? So it's like Benson Boone is bringing the Lumineers back, and it's wow, there's two things that didn't need to happen in my life.
Right.
And similarly here, I think we see a movie genre coming back that I thought was gone for good reason, which is in the 90s there would be movies with with like John Travolta in them, where it's just like his life is magical and he affects so many people, and his like the conflict of the movie is something very small, and then it's mostly about just sort of Travolta living this magical life, you know, in America, and oh, isn't life wonderful, and you got to live every day to the fullest, Sonny. It's like people who like misunderstood It's a Wonderful Life making movies.
Right. It's A Wonderful Life. It's that genre of uplifting, every little day is magic. Sort of movie genre, or it's not, or there's some great twist in this film.
But I don't think so, because of the way they're presenting it and marketing it.
That there's some sort of twist on that.
It's a genre that like should have died with Big Fish, which is probably honestly one of the better entries in that genre of like the sort of life is magical genre. But here, Mike Flanagan and Stephen King are bringing it back. This movie just feels very like, you know, Nancy Pelosi liberals on Twitter. It's a movie for them.
These days,
God bless.
There's nobody like more feckless, toothless, or has less to say than Stephen King and Mike Flanagan. They're two of the people I need to hear least from right now. And The Life of Chuck is going to be a big slap in the face to a lot of people suffering all over the world. So we look forward to that next weekend.
Now, we are getting a comment in the chat that's saying that the short story that it's based on, the Stephen King short story, is pretty good and has maybe some elements that are not in the trailer, which is what you're suspecting. But the way it's been marketed with like and like Mark Hamill is like the wise old narrator who understands everything about life. Like, you know what we're saying here, right?
Even
you understand what we're telling you.
Even if it had a twist, it still stars Tom Hiddleston and Mark Hamill.
The tone is offensive.
It's from the heart and soul of Mike Flanagan, which means it's going to be like a middling television-esque affair. And then it has Hiddleston, not my Brad Pitt, and fucking Stephen King, Twitter Stephen King, Trump to Stephen King. It's got a long way for me to enjoy this movie. God bless me and everybody attending the feature this weekend.
I'm going to say in the year 2025 to make The Life of Chuck is immoral. It's like an immoral act.
We don't know what the moral is, though.
But we don't know.
What if the moral is like twisty and... Now, let me say it again.
So
people fucking loved
I'll be the first one. I'll be the first one on my knees begging for forgiveness.
Everybody. It's I think it was Toronto. I think it was last year. This one was a big shock because it was so good. It won the People's Choice Award or whatever.
And if it is that good, or people are just like champagne drunk and kind of sad at film festivals.
No, then we'll sit here next week and just give it 5 stars if it's a fucking masterpiece.
Mike Flanagan,
you're a genius.
Can you please, in your mind and soul, can you see it to forgive me, please, Mike? Please, Mike.
Yeah,
is what I'll be saying next week if this movie's good, and if it's not, I'll be saying, "Told you so."
Love that.
Told you so.
Happy birthday, Carson.
It's your birthday.
Happy birthday, Carson.
Oh, my gosh. Happy birthday to producer Carson. Oh, my God.
Thank you. It's a happy birthday to
And what
Carson.
a present Carson got this weekend. A new movie by one of his and ours favorite directors, the Filippo brothers.
That's cool. Yeah, Carson is a big old fan, and no better way to celebrate his birthday than talking their brand new film today, Bring Her Back, which we'll talk about later on the program.
So what do you say? Should we kick this off?
Let's get into it.
Carson, roll that new theme song, please.
The backbone of this country is the independent film critic. The power of movies must be protected. The best thing about movies is the feeling they give. It's a feeling I want to feel every day. Movies, baby! Movies, baby! Movies, baby! Movies, baby!
I love those flashbulbs.
I love those flashbulbs.
Mm-hmm. Damn. Welcome to Movies, baby. I'm Joe Cilio, a.k.a. the Philly Movie Freak, and I'm joined by my co-host, Brett Boehm, a.k.a. the Georgia Movie Dog.
Go Dogs! We're coming to you live from the San Fernando Valley, baby. And this weekend, we saw the new A24 horror film Bring Her Back, directed by the Filippo brothers. We saw Wes Anderson's latest bauble, The Phoenician Scheme. We've got our reviews coming at you in a bit, plus some breaking movie news, some big stories, and then in the second half of the show, for Patreon subscribers only, thank you very much, we've got a new episode of Weekend at Bergman's coming your way. That's our show where we compare a art house movie and a popcorn movie that share a theme, and we tell you which one we like better, and we have to be honest. And this week is a big one. It is the battle of the Jungle Adventures, the 1980s Jungle Adventures. We've got Werner Herzog's Fitzcarraldo versus Robert Zemeckis' Romancing the Stone. Oh my God! What
an epic battle! Come out and join us on the Patreon.
Join us on the Patreon. You sign up for a 7-day free trial. You put your toes in the water. You see how you like it.
Water's
and you're
warm.
gonna like it.
Water's
Water's
warm.
very warm. You're
Water's
gonna like
warm.
it. You're gonna like it on the Patreon. That's patreon.com/moviesbaby with 5 Ys. But first, it begins and ends with the money, baby. This week on Movies Baby, Bring Her Back and Karate Kid Legends were the biggest new releases to hit theaters, but did either have enough juice to unseat the second week behemoths Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible Final Reckoning? Carson, show me the money. And by money, I mean the weekend box office returns. No, they did not. Not even close. Not even close.
So here's what I'm looking at, Brett.
Yes.
I'm seeing Lilo and Stitch again, number one, with an additional $63 million domestic this weekend for a cumulative of $280 million domestic.
That's domestic, and then it's doing really well internationally. So its grand total right now worldwide $611 million after 2 weeks. Is that good in movie terms? I'm trying to think. Okay, that's good. $611 million in 2 weeks is very good.
It's really good. Here's another question: is this good? Mission Impossible. A real question: is this good? Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning coming in with $27 million domestic for a total cum of $122 million domestic in its second weekend.
Now it should be good. It should be good because both Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible had good drops second week. They both were at around 57%, which is good. If you're under 60% drop, particularly if you had a big opening weekend, that's good.
Yeah, these ones have
so
big ones,
Mission Impossible is theoretically doing well, and it's doing well compared to the last Mission Impossible, which opened lower and then saw a 65% drop second weekend. So it's definitely doing better, but the big problem with Mission Impossible is that $400 million budget. They let that budget get so out of control that, this movie, and of course, I'm sure Paramount/Skydance, if the merger ever happens, is comfortable with this as like a bit of a loss leader because it does so much more, Cruise's faces on the side of the Paramount building, and all. It's like they can do so much with this as a property.
The franchise forever and all that it brings, and all. No. It's totally fine, but you make one of the most expensive movies of all time.
$400 million,
you got to make $1 billion plus
Come on
dollars.
now,
Yeah,
just cut the runtime down a little bit, and some money comes off the budget. But they spent $400 million, and Tom's happy, and
Tom's happy. I'm happy. I talking just colloquially around town this weekend, people like this movie a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of people liked it. They don't care that it's overlong and the
great
first
for
hour
Tom's brand.
People love this movie. I think
also, I read Tom's percentage comes out up top before
I'm sure
net,
it does.
So he doesn't give a shit.
As it should.
As it should. He's the whole franchise. Now, a couple of details I wanted to point out. Lilo and Stitch is so interesting because I was looking. It's directed by Dean Fleischerkamp, who previously did Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and I was just thinking, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On did $7 million total box office, which is pretty good for a movie that you make in your apartment with like a tiny little shell. Yeah, $7 million. He goes from that to Lilo and Stitch making $611 million. This is like what we saw with Minecraft movie with Jared Hess from Napoleon Dynamite and his movies, like immediately overnight helming this just world beating, probably going to be $1 billion movie. What is that? What must that be like? And I don't even know. This isn't even a good question. I don't know.
No, I
was just thinking, like, what an incredible like whiplash 180.
They do this to people. Dean Fleischerkamp almost is like more experienced than sometimes the directors they choose to pull up for these franchises sometimes. But regardless, no, it's a big difference between a gigantic Disney re-release of a classic and the Marcel the Shell movie.
So crazy.
But
that's like the nature of film these days. It's like people kind of floating from indie into big, and there's such disparity between the two things nowadays that it must just be such crazy whiplash. But I also wanted to point out Lilo and Stitch has one more weekend before How to Train Your Dragon comes out on June 13th. So we're probably looking at another strong number 1 or number 2 weekend next weekend, depending on how the John Wick spinoff Ballerina does. But Lilo and Stitch is going to continue raking money, and the big thing, the big lesson to take away from this, I think, did you know that Lilo and Stitch was originally going to be a Disney direct to Disney Plus movie? They were going to put this thing straight on streaming, and the same with Moana 2. Moana 2 was originally supposed to be straight to streaming. They released it last December. It made $1 billion. Lilo and Stitch is easily going to make $1 billion. It'll probably be the biggest American movie of the year, unless Superman or Jurassic Park sort of, go crazy, which is possible. But last year
Jurassic Park traditionally makes over $1 billion.
Yeah, but it's gonna have to make well over $1 billion to catch. I mean, Lilo and Stitch is at 611 after 2 weeks, and last year Inside Out 2 was the biggest movie, biggest American movie. So animated movies are raking right now,
no doubt.
Is this Disney has to be? They already were sort of moving away from Disney Plus as sort of the sole purpose of their business. I think they're looking for sort of a hybrid, but now why wouldn't they just go all in on theatrical releases? It seems like theatrical releases are back. Snow White was a blip. Otherwise, it's just been hit. What do you think?
No doubt. No doubt. They should still do theatrical. They should do it huge. We'll see if their new Pixar movie, Elio, hits later this month. That's a huge risk for them. That's super expensive. And we'll see how it plays with the originals. Lilo and Stitch is a reboot.
That's a good point.
Moana 2, Mufasa. These are sequels. These are reboots to popular things. We'll see if they can get it back original theatrical sort of juice. But, it's good strategy for them to do theatrical, but Disney Plus streaming service is a key element of their business, especially as ABC and linear television declines and goes by the wayside. And then just for fun, just while we're talking about it, do you know 55-60% of Disney's revenues are from theme parks? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
They're opening a new one in Abu Dhabi now. They got stuff going on. And Disney Plus is a gigantic part of what they have going on. And less Netflix and YouTube. It is the only other streaming service that's making profit these days and will continue to grow and expand because of their immense catalog, the IP name recognition with Disney, and the new titles that they're putting out. But I'm very happy to report, like you're saying, that Disney's not letting theatrical go by the wayside. They're, in fact, redoubling their efforts to make sure the pictures are coming out in the movie theater, and they're making that sweet, sweet cash, Brett. Sweet cash.
Yeah, and it's a good point to remember that, when you look at the major movie studios, the movies are such a obvious out there part of their business that you forget that the stability of these big companies almost always depends on their other revenue bases. So Disney, the theme parks, it used to be cable television was the way all of these big media conglomerates would stabilize the company, and then they could ride the rise and fall of the movie business, because the movie business is this, whereas companies need these revenue bases, which is cable, theme parks, or used to be cable. And so a lot of this, the sort of stability of these companies is sort of outside the hands of the movies. The movies just sort of benefit from the revenue stability provided from other places. Let's look at the new movies this week. Karate Kid Legends did 21 million domestic, added
that's good.
Another 26 internationally for 40. So it did 47 million total opening weekend on a budget of $45 million. So it was slightly under projections. It was supposed to do 25, but holy shit, you're opening at 47 total on a 45 budget. They're looking good. This is Sony doing what Sony does, which is just singles doubles, baby. Just get on base. Just singles doubles. They're not swinging for the fences. They are the Luis Reyes of the major studios. They are just getting on base, baby. Getting on base.
I want to shout out this Karate Kid IP.
Yes.
Who the F knew? This thing just has so many lives. It had the initial run of movies. It had its celebrated and beloved run on Netflix with the Cobra Kai spinoff, where it took the IP and sort of went in a more funny direction. And now Karate Kid Legends, Sony's no, let's do the Whiplash, let's do Ghostbusters Afterlife again, let's reboot the IP, let's do and it's why? And the answer is because apparently people love Karate Kid IP. They love this story, and they think their kids do it, and the kids love it. And I feel I'm completely on the outs of this whole entire experience. But I didn't know this was a thing.
I love it too, and congrats to whoever over at Sony was did the numbers and was oh my god, hey guys, we can make a Karate Kid movie for $45 million. That's legacy IP for $45 million. This is such a Sony move. I kind of love it. They're like sneakily my favorite of the major studios, just because I feel like they're always like playing the angles. They kind of have the mentality of like a mini major. But they're definitely playing Moneyball, and they always come up with these interesting little moves. And I love it. They did a Karate Kid movie for $45 million. They already made their production budget back and then some after the first weekend. So God bless Sony and Karate Kid. Now bring her back. This is a A24 horror movie. Did $7 million domestic, didn't really open wide internationally, so $8 million total. That's on a budget of only $15 million, and A24 already got $10 million of that budget back because they sold the international distribution rights to Sony, speaking of. So they'll be fine. You know, they're only trying, they basically already covered the production budget then. But this has to be a slight disappointment because Talk to Me was like a hit, a box office hit. Talk to Me opened at 10.4 and then ended up grossing $92 million. This thing isn't going to touch $92 million based on this opening. And we see the per theater here was not great for a sort of buzzy indie movie. You know, the per theater is under 3,000. You know, that's well under Final Destination Bloodlines in its third week. And so I gotta imagine they're a little disappointed with this opening, but they're also not going to sweat it because the budget was so reasonable.
I'd be a little tiny disappointed. Normally, I'd see the 7 for a horror original, and I'd go, ooh, but not for this one. I know it's an original, but you're right. The bros should have been doing a little better. This one is 30% worse than Talk to Me. Maybe that's why it got 30% worse box office. But I will. The
marketing was great, though. How would anybody know that?
The marketing was effective.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not like worried about A24. They're like in a lot of ways the greatest movie studio we have going right now. But this year has been just one thing after another for these guys.
Yeah.
Every week we're like, well, that's not the end of the world, but like, if you say that's not the end of the world for 6 months in a row, like that's bad, right?
Because you can't just keep skating by.
That's bad.
You eventually need
to
hit.
go.
Because we always underestimate the total costs of running a movie studio or a movie business. So like, you can't just keep skating by, breaking even blah. You need like hits.
You got to have a hit, and they will. But like,
I don't know.
I thought this was a contender. This might be their best movie they put out all year.
Yes.
They put out Friendship, which I love.
You love Friendship, but like that's another thing is like sort of they're not the only name in the game. You know, we have Mubi snatching up a lot of the movies that they would have bought. We have Neon snatching up a lot of the movies they would have bought. We have them in this awkward sort of middle ground now where they're sort of trying to level up into a mini major, but they don't really. But they still want to maintain their A24 credibility. And right now they're getting lost a little bit, I think, in the middle. And Neon and Mubi are just eating their lunch, to be honest, in the distribution market right now. We'll see. We're always rooting for A24. They got the big Timmy movie coming at the end of the year, Marty Supreme. But they spent a record amount of money on it for them. So we'll see. Now the last movie I want to shout out, it's not on here, so we can take this box office chart down, is Wes's new movie, The Phoenician Scheme. Our limited release king strikes again.
Oh really?
So we were talking. We were talking about how like Friendship did great in limited release because it did 75,000 per theater.
Yeah.
Wes did 95,000 per theater, and that's not even good for Wes. Asteroid City did 142,000 per theater, but these are all like astronomical numbers per theater. This is just where Wes thrives.
My theater was bumping.
Yeah, in limited release. Oh yeah. People were laughing before the movie started.
People loved it. They're laughing.
Wes is the king of the limited release. The Twee army is still alive and well on the coasts, and they come out in droves for these Wes movies.
I couldn't believe it.
Droves.
I couldn't believe it. I thought I was going to be the only guy in there.
Dude, 95,000 per theater is crazy.
My new thing is sitting up closer to the screen, but like I was forced to go like second row because it was sold out. And I saw it at 1 p.m. on a Sunday.
AMC Burbank 16 has like a little museum about the movie next to the movie theater. You can walk through and see props and stuff from the movie. It's like, oh, there's the cigar case with calligraphy on it from the movie.
The movie theater was packed this weekend.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I got there at 1 p.m. on a Sunday. Usually I just walk right up to the front. I had to wait in a big, long line. I was like, what movie came out this weekend? It's just like, well, it's just what we saw. When you have Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible and Sinners and Friendship and Phoenician Scheme. And it was just packed.
This is the first time I can remember post-COVID where it reminds me of the way, because you know how you read about like previous sort of like eras, and you'll read like, oh, all these movies were in theaters at the same time, like summer of 1982, like every week there's a banger. This is the first time since COVID I've felt that, where it's like you look and it's like, damn, everything is kind of a banger. Like
people
like
were
Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible,
adults.
Sinners, Final Destination, Bloodlines. By the way, now the biggest Final Destination movie ever by a mile. It's at $229.3 million worldwide on a $50 million budget. That's a hit, baby. That's a hit.
This was the first time I ever thought during COVID. I thought in my head, fuck, I wish the movie theaters weren't coming back so hard. It's fucking up my shit.
I know.
Now I got to get here 10 minutes early.
I got to get here early. Now I got to buy my tickets
this
like
sucks.
really
now
far
I gotta
in advance.
care about this. This is just my fucking secret thing.
I love it. Now going to the movies is a thing again.
It's a thing.
Which means you got to prepare. You got to be ready. And let's lean into this,
shushed.
baby. Let's lean into this. People are getting shushed.
Phoenician Scheme, like, talk. Shh, shh, shh.
Yeah, well,
respect Wes.
Mix that dialogue a little louder, buddy.
Respect
You don't have
Wes.
that problem. All right. And speaking of, if you think we're blowing smoke, the box office is now up 26% over 2024. So we're having a big old bounce back year. I love it. You love it. We all love it. Now, let's talk about a couple movie news. And this is maybe not the best news for the movies, but we'll see. We'll get through it. I want to talk about Marvel for a second, Joe. Oh, we love Marvel. We love Marvel so much and their little shenanigans. So we found out last week
there's a new Marvel out. That's me quoting Friendship. A great movie.
That's good. Quote it like Anchorman. Quote it with your friends.
Thank you.
So Marvel announced last week, and this is not too surprising, that they're pushing back the release dates of both of the Avengers movies that they have planned. So Doomsday is pushing back from May 2026, it was going to open next summer, to December 18, 2026. So it's going to become a Christmas movie. Similarly, Avengers Secret Wars will open Christmas 2027 instead of May 2027. Disney, however, isn't giving up that spot. They slotted in Devil Wears Prada 2 for Doomsday's slot, which let's make it bigger than a Marvel movie, baby.
It might be.
Not going to happen. Now, part of this is Bob Iger's new directive to Marvel, which was quality over quantity. Iger had a little intervention with Kevin Feige and said, hey, the quality is starting to get diluted, and that's what's creating this little slump. So let's go back to sort of quality over quantity. And he touted Thunderbolts as our return from to quality, but unfortunately Thunderbolts didn't end up having a super long tail.
Yeah.
And it didn't really do that great in the total scheme of things. My big complaint here, I don't give a fuck about Bob Iger and Kevin Feige. They're fine. My big complaint here is you cannot do this. And here is why this is a problem for the entire movie industry. Because one of the most important weekends or couple weekends of the year for the movie industry and the box office is the beginning of summer. Beginning of summer in May needs to start with a fucking bang because it affects what comes after. It's what we were just saying about the snowball effect. In order to have a healthy box office, you can't just have one movie hit. You have one movie hit, and then people are going to that movie. They're seeing trailers for other movies they want to see, and then those movies hit. So it's this snowball effect that gets created, and the beginning of that snowball, one of the most important parts in that snowball's journey, is early weekends in May. We saw this last year where Marvel, I think it was Deadpool and Wolverine, maybe something was originally, or Joker, Folie à Deux, maybe something. One of the big comic book movies was originally slated for early May. They moved it to later in the year. I think it was maybe Joker, Folie à Deux, yeah, and then they opened instead with Furiosa, which bombed and set off this cascade of bad week after bad week after bad week. It essentially started the summer off with a whimper instead of a bang, and then it wasn't until Inside Out 2 in the middle of summer that the box office recovered. And that's not Furiosa's fault. Furiosa is a movie that should benefit from the snowball effect of a Marvel movie. But it's not going to carry the box office on its own, and so it got put in a really tough position. And so Marvel is doing the same thing again, where it is prioritizing its own bottom line. Of course, they're going to do that, but at the expense of the movie industry, because people were staying away from those weekends because Marvel already had them reserved, and then Marvel was like, never mind. It's like if Marvel reserved the most desirable week of the year at a vacation rental, and then a week before they showed up, they're like, never mind, we're not coming, and the vacation rental is like, oh shit, well now we have this empty house for the week at the most profitable time of the year for us.
So hold on.
Yes, please.
So let me get this straight.
Yes.
Marvel's a bad guy for 20 years. They ruined movies, and now Daddy's leaving, and everyone goes, boo-hoo, please, Marvel, come back and save my butt. Please save the... Now they're responsible for the whole entire fucking movie industry. A year ago, we couldn't wait to fucking press the eject button on the whole entire studio. Now, if they don't exist, please help us, Big Daddy Marvel.
Here's what I'm saying. I am saying that if you're going to be Big Daddy Marvel, if you're going to be in the lead position, then you got to act like the fucking Big Daddy. You got to act like the alpha. You got to release big in fucking May, dude. But if you're going to push your movies back to Christmas, then fuck off. Let somebody else take over and own that lead position, because you ain't got it anymore, apparently. You need so much time to make these movies, and they take so long to make because they have 100 problems and they're not good. And then you're not ready to go in summer, which is when we need you to go. So, look, it's like you know, you have a guy over the hill and he's still hitting lead off in your batting order. It's like, sorry, buddy, you got to start hitting seventh moving forward, because you ain't getting on base anymore. So look, if Marvel can open the summer, they should open the summer. But if they can't, they should fuck off and leave that spot for somebody else.
They did.
But it's now it's the year away. These movies are getting made, you know, years
Devil
in
Wears Prada
advance.
2.
Let's make Devil Wears Prada 2 bigger than a Marvel movie. That's the only solution. Once again, comes down to us.
Is Emily Blunt coming back?
I think
Is Anne Hathaway coming back?
I think the whole crew's
well, then
coming
we
back.
have a hit on our hands, folks. Then we're fine.
Okay. But it's up to us, okay? It's always up to us.
Is Stanley Tucci coming back?
It's always up to
doing
us.
the gay character?
Ooh, that's a good question. He might not play quite as well in 2025.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Or everyone loves it, and I'm just a stupid
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Now, the bad news continued for Marvel, though, because they did some test screenings of Fantastic Four. And this one has to come out in a month. There we go. That was the audience response. The audience response apparently was very mid. Everyone said the same thing. Not bad. Not great. Not good. Not bad. Kind of in the middle.
Listen.
Fine.
Listen. I haven't heard a single thing about what was wrong with it. I don't know how long the movie is. I don't know any of the problems or the plot. But I have a note that I can just give right now that'll probably solve 80% of the problem. Cut 22 minutes out of the movie.
There you go. Smart.
Cut 22.
Smart.
I don't just sight unseen. Oh, people didn't love it. Okay, go ahead and cut 22 minutes out of it, and then bring it back and show them again. They're gonna like it 20% more.
That's a great note. That's a great note. That's a great note.
Just go ahead and cut 20 minutes out of it, and then show it to them again. See if they like it. They're gonna like it a lot more. Everything can be shorter. Everything can be shorter. Everything has a weakest link, and if you cut it out, then it's stronger. Make it shorter.
You know what the thing everyone loved, though, which I'm very excited for, Ralph Ineson, who we love from, you know, he was in the what am I trying to say, the Robert Eggers movies, the Vitch things like that. Love Ralph Ineson. He's Galactus, this giant, like, world-conquering villain. People loved Galactus. People loved Galactus.
And Julia Gardner's Silver Surfer, if I understand correctly.
I believe so.
And I love Julia Gardner.
I believe so. So I would say cut away. Apparently, the Fantastic Four are all boring. that was like the characters are kind of boring. It's like, well, maybe this is why this movie hasn't worked twice before.
They're from the 30s.
Yeah, they're kind of boring.
Yeah, they stink.
All right, well,
they're from the 50s.
Good luck to Marvel. Unfortunately, the film industry needs a healthy Marvel for the time being. So, would love if you get your movies done on time moving forward. Hey guys, can we stay on schedule moving forward? Marvel. Hey Marvel, can we? It has to. What there should be a movie industry board that like rejects moving the date, like a board that says like, nope, sorry, you're committed to May 1st. You have to. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. All right, well then Chris Hemsworth isn't in it then.
I like that for sport.
Then he's not in it. It's not going to matter. Okay, you have 20 other A-listers.
It's good for
the
content.
movie has to come out in May. Sorry, you said May. It's got to come out in May. One movie I'm very excited for that is coming out this year is Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which we finally got a look at. Oscar Isaac is Dr. Frankenstein. The creature is hilariously played by very handsome Jacob Elordi. And we finally got a look at this. What do you think of this Frankenstein trailer?
You know, it was exciting because they put Frankenstein in the ice, which is all I want, is to see the book with the ice and the Antarctica and the Frankenstein. And Guillermo del Toro is going to do that. Guillermo del Toro is such an interesting guy because on paper, he's like my favorite director.
Yeah.
On paper, all of his ideas rule. All of his philosophy rules. He lives in like a Pee-wee's Playhouse for horror. He's like a weird guy who's nice. You know, he's like an Academy Award winning. He tells stories about filmmaking with passion and with love, and he obviously cares about the craft and knows infinitely more than basically like 12 other people on this planet. But why do his movies always come out of the wash so mid? That's the craziest thing. Yeah. Besides, of course, Pan's Labyrinth, I'm just afraid that all of his movies on paper rock. Pacific Rim on paper rules. And of course,
Peak.
He loves kaiju and he loves Godzilla. Yeah. Of course, he's going to nail it. And Pacific Rim is good. It's just like, it's not great, though. And what about the one that I always try to, Crimson Peak, a movie people don't like, but it's very beautiful in its way, and I think it has lots of value, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's some fucking masterpiece, because it isn't. Yeah. Now, but here's the thing. This Frankenstein trailer...
This is the life's work, too. This is the one he's been wanting to make forever.
This is what the whole game is about. He's had this vision for Frankenstein. He knows exactly what he wants to do, and when you watch the trailer, you can see a lot of that Crimson Peak imagery in there.
Yes.
A lot of the...
He loves the Gothic.
A lot of the Del Toro, the way that he works with color, CGI, the way that he works with character, all that's in there, and it looks good, and it has Elordi as Frankenstein, and that rules, and the trailer's pretty awesome, and it has snow. I keep going out on a limb every time Del Toro comes.
You're hopeful, but you're also in like fool me once territory.
I'm like 7 movies deep of like, but Del Toro is really good because of fucking Pan's Labyrinth. It's like Pan's Labyrinth. That's fucking 20 years ago.
I'm just like excited for it. Yeah. Like I don't have a lot of hope that it's going to be great, but I'm just excited for it because you can see in the trailer that this whole thing has like life's work energy to it. It's like he finally got to do his version of Frankenstein. He's been talking in the press about how it's going to be a Miltonian Frankenstein. It's going to go back to the source material and the early 19th century romanticism and marriage. And I was like, I love this for you.
I love that.
I love this for you.
On paper,
I love that we're going to get like a real Frankenstein. Someone really cares about because I feel like when a lot of times when people do Frankenstein, they try to like get rid of it, much of it as possible. It's like, all right, we're just going to do the lab and then big creature comes out, but they leave out all the science and the history and all that stuff.
Yeah, they leave out the book and they leave out
Universal
the book. Movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Whereas Guillermo's going back to the source text. He's giving us the Miltonian Frankenstein, which I'm very excited for and don't have a lot of hope in terms of like the quality of the movie, but we'll see. We'll see.
I just want it to be great instead of pretty good.
Spectacle. Give me spectacle.
I just want it to be great.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see.
I did like that it's a little ugly. Like it's like very big and maximalist. I actually kind of like it's like an uglier Nosferatu. It's like a slightly uglier version of Eggers' Nosferatu and a little more like try hard. But I think that means I might like it a little bit more. So we'll see.
Here's the hope. It was also weird. Oscar Isaac. It's like weird to see Oscar Isaac. He's been in everything, but at the same time, it's like, where have you been, man?
Yeah.
It's like he like washed up on the shore of my mind, and I was like, Where have you been?
These guys disappear in the franchise world,
yeah,
and then you don't see them for a couple years, and then they come back to you eventually.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
but they like disappear into whatever
he's
into
just
the franchises.
He's just been going for years. Ever since Force Awakens, he just got sucked up into the machine.
I want my Llewyn Davis back.
I want my
he's doing a little
Hamlet, Sam Gold.
I love that he's doing the he's doing like movie accent, where it's just like period piece accent. It's like not necessarily placeable as like he's
broad and loud.
Yes, it's like broad and loud and formal.
And it has some
some rounded tones to it. I can't wait for Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. All right, should we talk about these freaking movies we saw, Joe? Movies we actually have seen.
Yeah.
We're talking about movies we haven't seen yet. Let's talk about some movies we have seen.
Yeah.
This week on Movies Baby, we saw the new A24 horror movie from the Filippo brothers, Bring Her Back. And we saw Wes Anderson's latest trifle, The Phoenician Scheme. We're going to tell you what we thought of these movies, and we can't guarantee there won't be spoilers. There'll probably be some spoilers, but not crazy spoilers. You've been warned. Let's start with Bring Her Back. This is an Australian supernatural horror film directed by Danny and Michael Filippo and written by Danny and Bill Hinsman. The DP was Aaron McCliskey, who also did their last film, Talk to Me. The film stars Billy Barat, Sora Wong, and Sally Hawkins in an incredible performance. Love Sally Hawkins. Now, the plot follows two step-siblings whose father dies, and then they are placed in a new foster home with Sally Hawkins. But then it turns out that old Sally Hawkins is in the middle of this ongoing occult ritual to resurrect her own daughter who has died through very sort of nefarious and evil means. This was distributed by A24 in North America, like we said. And before we talk about the movie, can I talk about the Filippo brothers for 1 second? Because I love these guys.
Please.
I love these guys. And their story is out there. You might have heard it.
I love these little guys.
I love these guys. I love these guys.
They rock.
They are these two just sort of wild and crazy Australian brothers. They started out as YouTubers. They were very successful YouTubers under the handle Raka Raka. You can still go to their channel, Raka Raka. I don't know if they're still posting videos on there, but their channel is still up. They made these like pretty sort of like professional, at least for the time, professional looking YouTube videos, but they were very YouTubey. So it's like nerd culture stuff. Like their big one was Harry Potter versus Star Wars, which got like 7 million views in a week, and then got them like agents were calling them, and they went to Hollywood and like got interviews off of Harry Potter versus Star Wars. Can we actually look at Carson, watch some of Harry Potter versus Star Wars, and if you can like scroll to like 15 seconds in. This is Harry Potter versus Star Wars. This is our new horror auteurs, the Filippo brothers. This is from like 10 years ago. So they're in their like apartment. They got their bros with them. All right, one bro's got a lightsaber.
Brett, this is good.
This is fun, right? One's Harry Potter, one's Star Wars. Now they're gonna fight in their living room.
Takes forever.
Yeah, those are hard to key.
Potter.
You wish.
Okay. And now we got a big fight. Now this is pretty good. This is like
You wish Harry Potter. They're doing Harry Potter is fighting. Yeah, a lightsaber man. Brett, this is a lot better than fucking YouTube content. This is good.
This is well produced YouTube content.
They're doing a good job.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, no wonder that these guys went on to make it.
Whoa.
Oh, cool. All right, these guys are good at movies.
I love this. Okay, we can
obviously very like
yes,
whatever straight. Yeah,
I
broad,
love it.
but amazing. They nailed it.
No, I love this new continuity that the industry has discovered between YouTube and whatever you want to call like big budget filmmaking. I think for a while there was a thought that it was like YouTube was sort of a separate thing, but I love this continuity now because this is like where people cut their teeth. And we saw with the Filippo brothers, they can go on. They don't know what they're doing that in their apartment. Like those guys can go on to make Talk to Me and Bring Her Back because they fucking did. And so I love that the Filippo brothers are sort of part of this wave of like not writing YouTube off as just sort of like trash internet content, and of course a lot of it is, but like that's where these young guys who don't have access to the industry or resources can cut their teeth and figure out how to make movies. I love it.
Oh, God bless them.
I love it. And then the big turning point for them, because they were like on track to be like Kai Cenat, Logan Paul. Like, did you know one of the brothers literally fought on the undercard of a Logan Paul boxing match? They were like in that world. They were like awesome. Fighting on.
They were huge YouTubers.
Yes. Yeah, they got like what is it? They got a Streamy for best international channel.
Well, they were obviously insanely talented.
They had one of those influencer mansions. They call it the House of Raka.
You're fucking
no, they did. These guys were like full YouTubers.
Right. These guys officially rule.
And then one of the turning points though was in 2014 they crewed. They were just like doing whatever. They crewed on the Babadook because the Babadook was a local Australian production.
That's right.
So they crewed on the Babadook, and then that's 2014. They ended up making connections with some local producers, absolutely. And they were sort of they were talking, asking questions. They figured out how to like get money from like Screen Australia, which is like the federal stipend there for movies. And then specifically, they connected with this producer Samantha Jennings, who was one of the co-founders of this Australian production company, Causeway Films. Causeway made the Babadook, and then cut to 2022 because this stuff takes forever, which is helpful to remember. We're looking at YouTube like it happened yesterday. That was like a decade ago. They made that video and they were making the Babadook. So 10 years later, Causeway produces Talk to Me, and now like the Filippo brothers and Causeway are like all connected because A24 just bought the distribution rights. They didn't pay for the movie, but really it's this Australian company Causeway who kind of discovered the Filippo brothers out of the Babadook world, and then now they're the hot new horror directors. But this is like, I love this story. This story like is just one of those great stories about like you don't have to be a Nepo baby. It's just one of those fun stories that like you can still be like scrappy kids on YouTube and like figure out a path to making movies. But you got to have the juice, baby. You got to have the shit, and they do. Joe, what did you think of Bring Her Back?
I liked Bring Her Back plenty.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. It wasn't as good as Talk to Me, but that doesn't mean it's not very good. I thought that the acting was great. I loved Sally Hawkins, and I loved the full cast. I loved all three of the children were excellent, I thought. I love the Filippo brothers cinematographer. I find their camera to be very fresh, and it doesn't feel like other horror movies that came out this year. I saw some people even like complaining online about the camera work, like it was shoddy or something. Probably means it's really good because nobody knows what they're talking about. I like it. I don't usually like soft focus at all, but for whatever reason, I found it very organic and easy to follow camera work. It was like very like beautiful, but also simple, but also not boring. It was just great. The script was fun.
Yeah. The
story straightforward. That's not a crime. Then the performance is good. The scary quotient was solid. Some bits, there was a bit of some gross body stuff. I had to close me eyes.
Yes, there's some nasty stuff in this movie.
Yeah, totally. And Sally Hawkins gives a performance that I was thinking about Hugh Grant's performance in Heretic.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a great other side of that coin. This nice seeming person, you come to their house and crazy things happen to children. It really reminded me of that. And I really kind of like liked it as much as that. It's not as buoyant as Heretic. It's a little bit more somber and scary. But that's sort of what I would compare it to. This is a good movie that if you like horror, you'll totally be happy you threw this one on. I think it'll become, I hope the Filippo brothers make 10 of these, and this is like, number 8 on the list, number 7, but there's a lot to love here. And Sally Hawkins continues to, in her later career, whatever, the past decade, just turn out incredible performances time after time, and is sort of an unsung hero, even though I know she's been nominated for Academy Awards and stuff. So yeah, I liked it, Brett. Well, how about you? What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, same. I didn't like it as much as Talk to Me, but I still really liked it, and I really like the direction that this suggests for their career, because Talk to Me had a lot of like sort of like Gen Z vibes. This felt like a Gen Z horror movie, and in a very like interesting, authentic way. But this movie tells me that they are not like concerned with like being Gen Z filmmakers.
With that. That's not their thing.
This is sort of like a move into like mood and into like it's in this sort of remote cabin. They're kind of away from the world. Like they're interested in different things than I may have thought that they were interested in, and I like that. I think they're going to pursue aesthetic and mood.
They didn't make bodies.
No, exactly.
They were like, oh, we have another thing to talk about and think about. Family and
there's a lot of like and for as like, because when you watch interviews with them, they're very like YouTubey. They're very like big and like roughhousing with each other, and they're kind of like silly and like. But man, these movies have a lot of like depth and detail and gravity to them, and the themes that they're tackling.
They have a great
loss of children without like sentimentality. They really have this like hidden depth to them of based on what you would think in interviews and stuff. And I did really like this movie. It has Hereditary vibes. I even thought it had some like Night of the Hunter vibes, that kind of like there's moments that feel a little surrealistic, a little expressionistic, like when there's that one where like Sally Hawkins is like leading the blind girl into the pool, and they're kind of like in the pool, and it's like there's a lot of just things that are done for mood and not for like hype or effect or things. They're done for like aesthetic and for some and for like tone. And so I liked it all. It's like creepy and interesting, and the horror worked for me. I loved little Ollie. I thought Ollie fucking rocked.
Ollie the scary kid on the poster, stole the show for sure.
Ollie rocks. So Ollie is like this it's like very sad ultimately who Ollie is and what he is, but for most of the movie he's just this sort of like demonic kid that walks around
weird
and like
mute guy.
Yes, and he sort of has powers, like he can like eat through like countertops and stuff. Like he's just like
he's hungry.
He's just hungry.
He's
like
hungry.
the thing I loved about Ollie is like he's sort of like the thing you're scared. I mean, you're really scared of Sally Hawkins, but he's sort of like he's like the monster.
I'm scared of Ollie.
Ollie's like the monster. Sally Hawkins is like
Frankenstein.
Evil, yes, but like Ollie's the monster. So every time you'd see like in the rain, you would see Ollie sort of waddle around the corner without his shirt on. His like belly's all distended, and his eyes all red, and his like teeth are messed up, and he sort of waddle around. And you didn't know like he's not necessarily gonna like hurt anyone, but his like presence is just sort of like menacing. And like sometimes he just stands there and kind of waits for things to happen. Other times he'll like take a bite out of somebody. Like you don't really know what Ollie's doing.
Ollie was he was a wild card.
Every time Ollie showed up,
Ollie was a wild card.
It would have been inappropriate based on the tone of the movie and the themes, but anytime Ollie showed up, I wanted to like cheer in my seat and be like, Ollie!
Ollie's here. When Ollie
Can I
gets
get a
out,
shout out for Ollie?
when Ollie gets out of his room.
Yes.
Oh, I was like,
God,
some
love it.
antics are about to
Here
be
we
up.
go.
Ollie's going to go
out.
up to his old
Somebody
tricks.
let Ollie out.
So I like that.
Ollie
One
fucking
more
rocked.
thing.
Yeah.
Folks, this house in the movie.
Yeah.
We have to stop with this house. I think this is the 8th time I've seen this house in a movie in the past 2 years. And if it's not the same exact house, it looks exactly like the house in Companion, The Blackening. I saw a trailer this weekend for. It's a very specific. It's like in the woods.
Okay.
I feel like they all rent the same fucking house. It's very like modern cabin. And it has like, it's like on a cliff always, and it always has like that slanted roof.
Janet Planet.
Janet Planet, Us. They like pull up to it, and time and time again, it feels like they're using the same facade for all these houses.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw another trailer where they pull up to the house in the horror movie, and I was like, they're going back to this nice modern Airbnb with the slanted roof that they always go to in every horror movie. I'm not nitpicking this isn't about Bring Her Back. This is just about like scouts, like movie scouts. Like
Calling out the location scouts.
I'm calling out location scouts. I need new textures to my horror house. It's getting all too Airbnb same, Brett.
Yeah.
All Airbnb same. I don't want to see that house no more. Give me a new house.
I didn't think that, but I love the point.
telling
I
you.
love the point.
I'm telling you.
Now, here's something I loved about like the production design, the look of the movie, etc. I loved the like VHS tapes that she's using to like figure out. So basically, like Sally Hawkins is trying to resurrect her dead daughter, hence the name of the movie. And the way that she and this is where I loved the scarcity of information and context. I love that there was not a lot of exposition.
That was
you didn't know
strength
like
of the
sort
movie.
of where she's getting stuff from, but like you just live in this world for an hour and a half. I loved that. And the best example of that is she got these like snuff films from this like cult, and they're on VHS, and it shows some sort of like just like nasty subterranean like cult like doing this resurrection ritual, which is a very sort of violent, nasty, body horror-y, gross sort of ritual. And like she's watching it on these like grainy VHS movies, which is like, you know, talk about tropes that will never go out of style. Like grainy VHS and horror always
goes down good.
But she would like, it was so funny to me because she would like when she would like reach a sort of a critical point in the ritual, which is like ongoing over weeks basically, and involves Ollie, this little kid, she would have to go back to the VHS tapes and be like, okay, so then Ollie's gonna like eat the face off of okay, all right, Ollie.
It is funny.
I loved it because it was so sort of like sloppy and sort of like it's how it would actually happen in life, which is like my feeling is, and this is where I think Talk to Me and Bring Her Back are sort of a shared universe, even though there's like tonal differences. Is the thing I love about both of them is this suggestion that there's like this supernatural black market out there where like the hand from Talk to Me and the VHS tapes, like I don't know if we're like intentionally building towards something.
I
don't want you to overdo it. I love it like this. I love this sort of lightly shared universe in which you can just buy some crazy shit off the black market that might resurrect your daughter or like let you communicate with the dead. I love that as like it's the perfect way to do a shared universe, just like light touches. But those VHS videos were cracking me up every time Sally Hawkins would be like, "All right, so then okay, all right,
it was fun.
Okay, so that's how I'm going." Okay,
I love the way information was doled out in the movie. It was very pleasant because even though ultimately it was a resurrection tale and it wasn't like all the elements felt creative, and the way the information was doled out was well paced, and it kept me on my edge of my seat the whole time, kind of wondering what was going to happen, what was going on. I like this movie very much, Brett. I'm going to give it 3.5 stars.
Hey, that's my rating too.
There you go.
Yeah, I thought it was 3.5. Talk to Me would be 4. This would be 3.5. So it's like, you know, it's like right there.
And real quick, I just to the Filippo Bro head.
Yes,
Carson, if you have a mic, what rating would you give the film as a lover of the bros?
I think I'm right there with you guys.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
3.5.
All right, that makes
Maybe
me feel
4.
good. Maybe 4.
3.5,
Nice.
4. Yeah, I like
Nice.
that.
Good,
I like
good,
that.
good.
I like that. Yeah, it feels almost just like it's right in there. It's almost like the poster child for a 3.5 leaning 4 movie.
Carson, you like the antics of that little rascal Ollie by any chance?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
Okay, you love Ollie. All right, good. Yeah, we all love Ollie.
Pot belly.
Yeah, it's a little pot belly walking around.
Doesn't talk, screams sometimes.
And then I've also never. I won't give this part away, but at the very end, you know, when the last thing we see of Ollie, I felt so bad for that little boy.
Dude, I feel bad for Ollie.
So bad.
I'm worried about Ollie.
You didn't deserve it, but
you didn't deserve it.
But what a fun little adventure to go on when you're young, and you can still have the rest of your life to sort of
to deal with it.
Okay. So
let's talk Wes.
Let's talk Wes. Okay. All right. So we also saw the Phoenician Scheme, which is written and directed and produced by Wes Anderson from a story with a longtime collaborator Roman Coppola, part of the Coppola clan, son of Francis. He had a new DP on this, though. He's forever was worked with Robert Yemen on his live action movies from the very beginning. But he went with this hotshot French, he loves his French filmmakers and cinematographers. Yeah. He went with this hotshot French DP, Bruno Deboniel, who has worked with the Coens on Inside Llewyn Davis. He's worked with Tim Burton, a lot of the later Tim Burtons.
The guy's no slouch.
Yes. He did Across the Universe.
He knows his way around the camera.
He did a Harry Potter movie. Yeah. This guy's all over the place, and he has such an insane resume. He kept it the same with the score, though, which you heard in the movie if you've seen it. Alexandre Desplat did the score. He's been doing the score since Fantastic Mr. Fox.
When I saw his name, I was disappointed, but as the movie went on, the score was not a thing that I didn't like.
Makes sense for the style of the movie.
It was fine. It was good.
And then the cast, holy shit, dude. When they listed when they did that great overhead shot of Benicio in the bath and they're listing the cast, I was like, this is such a flex. The names just keep coming. And you're like, end. Stop.
And
stop.
Even when it gets to the end of the credits, so they have to stack names, a big group. The stacked names are fuck this guy, F. Murray Abraham.
Yeah, F. Murray Abraham will be third name in
Bill
a stacked
Murray's
list.
At the fucking
Bill Murray's the afterthought.
They don't fucking care about these people. It's so many famous people.
And none of them are getting paychecks. They're all getting scale.
There's only one. Okay,
what's the explanation? Wes gets this. Look, listen. Benicio del Toro, Mia Threppleton, Kate Winslet's daughter, Michael Cera, Riz Ahmed, Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, Matthew Almeric, Richard Ayoade, Jeffrey Wright, Scarlett Johansson, Benedict Cumberbatch, Rupert Friend, Hope Davis, F. Murray Abraham, Charlotte Gainsbourg, Willem Dafoe, and Bill Murray. It takes more than one breath to say all the names. That's
sometimes at the bottom,
yes,
the famous people have to say no. This is my new thing for Wes Anderson movies. Yeah. Scarlett Johansson should have said no. I think it was a bad look for her to be in this movie, honestly. She has 4 lines. She's in it at the end. She's supposed to be one of the most famous people in the world. Also, she didn't add anything to the movie. It was a bad on Wes to he goes so deep. He knows he can get yeses. Scarlett will just come out for the weekend to say hi to his French people and hang out or whatever. And Wes, I know you can pull Scarlett Johansson for the random 1800th character in the film, but that was when I started going in the movie all right, enough. Just tell me the fucking story. I don't need to see Scarlett Johansson now.
Here's my thought. Here's why he keeps getting these casts. I think, well, number one, it's 5 days on a soundstage outside Berlin. You get a nice little vacation. There's no way these people are filming for more than 4 or 5 days.
I'm just saying, it's a bad look if you're famous.
I also think, here's what I really think. I bet the craft services on a Wes Anderson movie are fucking fire.
Can you even imagine?
Fire. I bet it's like the Wynn Buffet in Las Vegas. I bet you have chefs, you have stations. It's not just Oreos and packs and Subway sandwiches cut into 8 parts.
So you're at the Grand Budapest Hotel and they got tea sandwiches and they got coffee, beautiful. It's the whole thing.
I bet it's at the Grove when they'll get a string quartet out there, in the Grove. I bet he's got a string quartet. He's got the best craft services. Everyone's sitting around. They get to act like they're old fancy pants actors. They don't have to be covered in ping pong balls against a green screen for once in their lives.
And you know what? You're saying it like it's a bad thing, but now that you kind of stack it out, it makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
And also, it's despite what you might think of this movie, you're going to look awesome. Period.
Yeah.
You're not in also. You're always going to have been in a Wes Anderson movie. Who cares if it's good or bad? It's important. It's almost this is an important artist who I like being part of his repertory crew, and it's fun to go out for 5 days and make a lot of money. And I'm going to look amazing, and I'm going to be looking fucking cool. I'll be in books, and then they'll invite me to the Oscars for free because I'm in the Wes Anderson movie and it's getting nominated for this or that.
Mia Threppleton, who I had never heard of before, as Kate Winslet's daughter, is now going to be the profile photo of so many high school hipsters on Instagram for the rest of her life. She's now an iconic cinematic image. So I get it. I get what people get out of being in Wes Anderson.
And it's not
movies.
Like he's a Woody Allen where we're why?
Right,
it's why? Because you go to France, you hang out with the Coppolas.
He's probably so nice.
He's so nice. You're going to look amazing. You go to the Oscars.
All right, let's talk about this fucking movie. Okay, what do you think of the Phoenician Scheme?
I like Phoenician Scheme.
Why?
Phoenician Scheme's good. Okay, so Phoenician Scheme is good. Wes is going to do his thing. That's like the problem, right? Like the problem with Phoenician Scheme is Wes, once again, he's like, I got a new DP and I'm older now. And yet he just does his thing. And what's his thing? It's beautiful. I don't know what's the word, Brett? Like beautiful, curated compositions. That's like a little
museum of cinema curiosities.
And then this deadpan humor. And it can, I think culturally it's grating. I think we're all annoyed that he's sort of synonymous with independent American cinema. And I think it's annoying that he stays in his very safe world. But there's not a rule that you have to leave your very safe world. If people keep financing your little world and you can just keep Jiro dreams of sushiing yourself deeper and deeper and deeper into your own mind, like, I guess that's fine. I guess what I'm saying is, you know what? Like, I don't know if I need Wes Anderson to do a Michael Mann movie or break out of the mold. He's not capable of it. If he gets funding to do his little trifles and wants to have his little parties, it's fine. So just like leaving that at the door, let's talk about the movie.
Yes.
Phoenician Scheme. I liked the story. I thought it was funny and fun. Benicio del Toro has to gallivant around the Far East, Near East, fictional Middle East.
He's an old school like titan of industry.
And
he's got his hands in all sorts of industries. He's like an international billionaire, man of mystery.
He's got to go around Phoenicia, and he's got to like
do his little schemes,
he's got to like do
make
business.
money. Yeah,
and he meets all like the little Wes Anderson characters along the way, and they have their little pastiche and their little montage.
But his daughter's a nun, and she's like, "You should be a better person," and he's like, "Okay, I'll try."
Yeah, I it just wasn't bad. Like, here's like Wes Anderson, he's so up his own thing. It's fun. Sometimes his movies are like a little boring. I just didn't find this one particularly boring. I found it particularly Wes Anderson-y, which is why it's not great. And I didn't find it risky in any way. I didn't find that it had a whole lot to say. I found that it really was a true trifle. Very French. This poor guy is being just like mentally crippled by his association and love of French and French cinema. French is all about formalism, classicism. It's about organization. It's about taxonomies. It's about controlling nature and imposing man's will. And what's more Wes Anderson than all of those things? I know his compositions seem effete, but actually it's rather masculine the way that he dominates every single fucking frame of his movies. It's so French and horrible, and it's very, very unloving. But he loves himself like a French person, and he is in his own world like a French person, and he does murder his thing. You mentioned, let's just talk about that opening shot where Benicio is in his tub and they're walking around, and it's just like, it's like, Wes, come on now. And you know what I hated about this one? You know, the shoe boxes, and then he did the thing where it's like different.
I'm going to talk about the shoe boxes. You can believe that.
This movie was like a chapter movie where it's like an hour and it's like chapter one. It's like, fuck you, Wes. Yeah. But, you know, his slide looks fucking diabolically good. Okay. And then it cut, and then his bullshit of everything is always very handsome and artful and lovely. I thought Benicio was funny. I thought Kate Winslet's daughter was a revelation. I loved her. I thought she was so good. Michael Cera was funny, whatever. And sometimes I don't know, whatever. I guess I have less hate in my heart these days. I was just like, oh, this Jeffrey Wright. And then the scene was over 20 minutes later, and I was like, okay, I laughed. It was fine. It just wasn't that bad. It like gallivanted. It moved. It wasn't as good as French Dispatch. It certainly wasn't as good as Grand Budapest. But I don't know why people are saying this is the worst Wes Anderson movie ever. Yeah, it's
definitely not the worst.
It's certainly not the worst. I think it has some nice zip. It has fun. It made me laugh a couple times. It's not my favorite movie of the year, but I thought this movie was really good. I'm sorry, arrest me. I'm not into his thing, but his thing is his thing. So if I just let him have his thing, I had fun at his weird little movie. It's very handsome. The problem is like, we see all these movies, and Wes Anderson's like, oh, here we go. He's going to do his thing. It's like, well, there are worse things to do than insanely gorgeous everything. It doesn't work emotionally. It's very alienating. It's very French. It's very unfunny, ultimately, even if it has laughs peppered along the way. But everybody looks great, and it's semi-inspiring, and it's very like unique and specific, and I guess we should be happy he's here. 3.5 stars.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't disagree with a lot of what you said. I just have like a different reaction to it, I guess, because, you know, I was saying this last week. I really sort of haven't been on board with Wes Anderson. I mean, really like post Royal Tenenbaums, but definitely sort of like post, Roman Coppola, because a lot of Anderson's effect depends on the person he's writing with. And I just loved the Owen Wilson era so much because I think Wilson was completing Anderson. He was giving him what he lacked, which he was giving this little wooden boy a heart. And so the Anderson Wilson collaboration that gave us, Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, Royal Tenenbaums, to me those are my favorite Wes Anderson movies, and then he has sort of moved away from that. Roman Coppola feels like someone who feeds his sort of most, I'm not gonna say worst instincts, but most insular instincts, most sort of idiosyncratic instincts, and you know what I would compare it to? You know how when Dylan went electric and all the folkies got so mad because they're like too loud and too much emotion and I can't follow this. And
I know
just do the cute folk songs again, please. The thing that pisses me off about Wes Anderson is that I feel like he went acoustic. Like he was like electric with Rushmore and Royal Tenenbaums, and yes, they are sort of like twee and sort of like curated, but there was like a beating heart to those movies. There was even a sort of like an allowed sort of messiness in some of the performances and in some of the moments. And I think Anderson has increasingly gone away from that, increasingly just more and more control at the expense of the things that I like about movies, which are unpredictability and a feeling of a little messiness and performance and life and heart and energy, and all of that has gone away. Anderson went acoustic. He betrayed me. He betrayed the people who were there at the beginning with Rushmore and Royal Tenenbaums and Bottle Rocket, and I don't like it. And if this was the Newport Folk Festival, I'd get the axe out too and cut his damn fucking cords that go to his movie camera, so he can't make any more. So he can't make any more of these movies.
But his pop, his preppy pop aesthetic pre-Kanye was electric, but I am happy that he understood that he had to become more of himself, which is like a stuffy Coppola that lives in France. We can't have him like, what's he gonna do? Fucking make Battle of Algiers? He's gonna make fucking like American Idiot with Green Day?
No. Literally just like, see, here's the thing. Literally just like, because Rushmore is not like in a different universe. It has a similar aesthetic to these movies. Royal Tenenbaums definitely does. It's literally just a slight modulation of like ceding a little bit of control to a writer who brings a little sort of heart and story and resonance to your little curio cabinet world. And I just don't know why he is increasingly moving in the opposite direction. I just don't understand. I really don't understand it. Having this level of intelligence and taste and resources to get these movies made and being this obsessed with this aesthetic. I just don't get it. It just doesn't make sense to me. And maybe these just aren't for me, but I just can't imagine having that much at your disposal, intellectually, cinematically, financially, connection-wise, all these actors just lining up to be in your movie, and being so obsessed with this aesthetic. Because this aesthetic, to me, you don't notice because he does do it as good as it can possibly be done. I will give him that. This is like the worst aesthetic. Yeah. This is like the worst.
I know.
This is like the worst style. This like just like hyper curated twee, nothing out of line, calligraphy, shoeboxes, and it's like I was sitting there in Phoenician Scheme, and there's a couple moments where you see him temporarily, I think, trying to like rattle the birdcage and break out a little bit. Like I loved those black and white like heaven sequences. Like those, I love them just because they were different and they were a little sort of messy. And I was like, okay, Wes taking some chances here. I loved
when Benicio fought Benedict Cumberbatch at the end.
Yes.
The camera work became different.
It became a little electric all of a sudden. I like this. So you see Wes rattling the birdcage, but then he would just as quickly slam the door and say, "Nope, I'm staying in the birdcage." And it's like, fine, bitch, you built the birdcage. So I guess I would love if you, I would love if you like got out of it. But if you want to stay in there, that's fine.
I suppose.
And the problem is he stays in it for the most of this movie. There's a couple moments where he opens the door and flaps his wings a little bit, and it gets interesting for a second. But then it just as quickly goes back. And when they bring out the fucking shoe boxes with the calligraphy, and Benicio del Toro's got a different plan in each of the shoe boxes, I was like, why are we doing the shoe boxes with the calligraphy? I'm an adult, Wes. I'm an adult here paying for your movie. And I'm not like bragging that I'm an adult. I'm just clarifying that there are adults out here watching this movie. Can you not give us the fucking shoe boxes with the calligraphy? Can you just keep doing Benicio acting well and good lines, please? Like let Benicio, because then when Benicio's got to bring out the shoe boxes, suddenly the performance like shrinks. Like that's the problem. It's like he takes these great actors with so much charisma, and Benicio's great because Benicio's great, but like, man, the opening sequence, I was like, ooh, is he gonna let Benicio like be Benicio? And it's like, no, he's gonna tie his strings onto Benicio and puppet him around, because everyone gives a performance like they're a fucking puppet in the Wes Anderson puppet show. I don't want to watch a puppet show, Wes. I want to watch a movie. Which means that you need to relinquish a little bit of control, take your fingies a little bit off the gears, and let the magic of the movies work, because you have a great cast, and you could have a great writer if you broke off this Roman Coppola bromance that you insist on. Get a real writer back in there. Owen Wilson, this guy's seen some shit at this point. He's lived a life. Let's get him back in the writer's room. Let's get another Owen Wilson script, and let's get a movie next time and not a fucking puppet show, okay? Please. I want a movie from Wes Anderson, because I theoretically love Wes Anderson. But I don't like this version of Wes Anderson. Enough, please. Plug in. I want you to go electric again, baby. I never even thought I would ask this, because it was never like one of my favorite things about him. I want Kinks on the soundtrack again. I want Kinks and Rolling Stones on the soundtrack. Kick this fucking like other guy, this composer, to the curb. I want Kinks and Rolling Stones on the soundtrack. I want Owen Wilson writing. Please. Everyone's doing nostalgia throwbacks. Can you do that, please? Because this little twee tunnel that you're digging further and further into the twee center of your own Earth is annoying, and it's boring. It was boring. I almost fell asleep during this movie.
Yeah, it wasn't that boring. Look,
because there's no stakes. There's no tension. You can just sort of, everything is like take it or leave it. This is Wes doing Wes. But there's no fucking tension or stakes. At least give me tension and stakes. But I can't. There is no tension or stakes when everyone is just reading their lines like they're on your fucking strings. You have to cut the strings. Let Benicio fucking breathe.
That's what other artists are for, maybe. I don't know. Maybe Wes just does Wes, and that's why every single time it's just always never great, always good. And that's why I'm giving Phoenician Scheme, I'm giving it 3.5 stars, because I thought it had, at the end of the day, it was very handsome, some zip, some laughs, some great performances. I loved Kate Winslet's daughter. Kate Winslet's my favorite actor, and
her daughter's great.
Watching the movie, I was like,
very
oh,
funny.
Good. Maybe Nepo babies are good, because I don't want Kate Winslet to go away, even though she's going to, continue to grow and die one day. At least we have her progeny, who seems very good at acting. A weird thought, but it was kind of
Nepo babies
nice.
are fine when they're not the only show in town. They're like, every business on earth is a family business, so of course you're gonna have Nepo babies. But I love that, like, Mia Threppleton can get roles as long as the Filippo brothers can make their movies as well. I love all of it.
Right. Team up.
Can you imagine being Wes Anderson's sex worker and like the list of like instructions you would get?
No, it's not even. It's so annoying. First of all, it uses the full hour.
Yeah. Oh,
and there's no sex.
There's no
involved.
sex.
No, it's awful.
It's a lot of like
you have
2 spritzes of this French perfume. Put on more clothes. Go sit by the window. Hold a cigarette, but don't smoke it.
Teach me about like the frames in the Vatican, not the paintings.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Read this book out loud to me about the frames of the paintings in the Vaticans. Mm-hmm. But if the book ever mentions the actual painting themselves, skip to the next page. I only want to hear about the frames, and I don't want you to look at me. You have to stare out this window at the Eiffel Tower.
I think there's something
it's right there. Just stare right there at the Eiffel Tower while you read this book about frames to me.
Yeah, not my favorite.
And if you look at me, I'll scream.
Not my favorite. I really didn't want to go, but then when I watched it, it was totally fine. And I was like, why do I always complain about this guy? His movies are always good. I'm just annoyed by his popularity. And we shouldn't be. We should almost be like, hey, here's an artist who knows who he is, that can work with great actors and gets budgets and put his movies out, and he gets humongous purse screens, and he has an audience for his thing. He doesn't need to be everything to everybody. Maybe Wes Anderson just trifle himself to death.
You're right about
trifle
that.
Himself
and that's
to
why,
death.
look, I had already checked out. I had already I'm watching this because we do a show and I have to watch the movie. I had already checked out of Wes Anderson's career because I had that same realization where I was like, look, he's doing this is the best version of what he's trying to do, and people like it, and so I'm just gonna do
None
this.
of my business.
But oh God,
I know. It's homework now.
Yes,
you've turned your thing into his movies are homework. Despite when you get into them, sometimes they're fun, and I found myself enjoying the Phoenician Scheme. It wasn't a fucking masterpiece. What do you give it numbers?
2.5. It's all right.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not bad.
It's something between 2.5 and 3.5.
Bad. Yeah, it's
you know what it isn't bad, because if anybody else did it,
it's not bad.
My mouth would be on the fucking floor.
Yeah.
If someone else shot a movie like that, I'd be like, whoa.
But that goes back to my point.
You know what I mean?
I can't imagine being this. He's very smart. He has good taste. And he
likes this.
Because I was watching. You were right about the French influence is such a prominent part of all this. Because I told you I was watching a bunch of like Robert Bresson movies recently, and like the deadpan like, did you call me to the room? Because I'm in the room now, and I don't like that very like matter of fact deadpan way that he does dialogue is like that's like Bresson. Bresson does that in all the movies, but Bresson is crafting these like incredibly nuanced, like tight morality plays that like devastate you. There's a payoff to it, whereas West it's just
dessert.
It's aestheticism. It's style for style's sake. Which like that's fine if I like the style, but like I don't like this style.
Dessert's good, but I need a meal.
Yeah, this is like one of those like desserts where you're like, I don't even know how to get a fork in this thing.
You struggle with dessert?
Yeah. You know,
some
like,
people can't be helped. I
like,
don't know.
like,
this guy's struggling with dessert.
I see pictures of desserts in like magazines, and it's like a French dessert, you know, or like a dessert at like Harrods in London, and you're just like, I wouldn't even know how to start with that. That dessert has 8 layers.
Honey, we got a Bergman's.
All right, we got a
Bergman's.
Next week on the show, we're going to be talking this new John Wick movie, Ballerina, with Ana de Armas. Oh, Joe, Dangerous Animals next week. Yeah. That trailer fucking rocks.
Yeah, Dangerous Animals. No, Life of Chuck. That's good.
I just found out about Life of Chuck. I found out that's coming out. Oh, by the way, the chat was killing us on Life of Chuck. They said, story's great. I've heard the movie's great. You guys are bitter. And I said,
we haven't seen it.
I will be first one.
We're just putting on a show.
If it's good, I'll be the first one to beg for forgiveness.
I will give it
from
5
Mike
stars
Flanagan.
if it's good. We're just having fun, folks.
Dude, Dangerous Animals, though, get ready for that. Yeah. A serial killer who uses like sharks to kill people.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Al Pacino stars in The Ritual.
Okay.
It's another exorcism movie. This time with Al Pacino.
Okay, great.
Brett, when I saw this in the like month rundown, I was so hyped. Yeah. And then when I saw it was June 6th, I was like, thank God.
Right. Russell Crowe needs a cameo though, because he now is like part of these movies. All right. Yeah. And then next week on Bergman's, Porky's vs. Sex Lies and Videotape is crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be really
crazy. Good. Also, shout out to Carson. That's a great combination of images there. I love that. Yeah. All right. That's next week. But this week on Patreon, in just 5 minutes, we're going to be comparing Fitzcarraldo with Romancing the Stone. It's the Battle of the Jungle Adventures as our 1980 season rolls on. You go to patreon.com/moviesbaby with 5 Ys. Get a free trial, 7-day free trial. You're not going to want to miss this.
I wouldn't.
You're not going to want to miss this.
I wouldn't.
We have to be there. We'll see you there in 5 minutes.
Bye.
5 minutes. Bye.